How's it going? Hope everybody's having a good evening so far. I wanted to make this video because I feel like this is something I really wanted to speak out in terms of my subscribers and the people in my channel and the people that watch, watch me in this blank screen, just hearing me talk. I honestly do appreciate it, and I do appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to watch me ramble. Anyways, this is probably going to be the most controversial video I probably have made yet. And I'm interested to see what happens, so fuck it. But I believe that this is something important that I think men need to know. Guys, I'm going to tell you how we can bring this whole house of cards to the fucking ground. The feminism, the women's behavior, all of it. We have the ability to change that if we really wanted to. We have that ability. Let me tell you something, guys. We've been through suffering. We've been through pain. We know all about suffering, guys. Tell me. I mean, we know all about suffering. Now, I think I'm going to sound more of like a military drill sergeant here, but I think, guys, we really need to understand this. We know all about suffering. Mgtow wouldn't exist if it wasn't for suffering and what we went through and what women did to us or what we understand about women. We know all about suffering, believe me. Suffering is our best friend. We know everything about it. We know how to live in it. We know how to survive in it. We've survived in it, and we've actually built our own fucking civilization in terms of having this group of Mgtow that could potentially be something greater. We know all about suffering. This is our best friend. On the other hand, women, they like to suffer. They like to cry about things, but, we truly know what it means to suffer. What it means to have justice, what it means to not have justice, what it means to know in simple fact that what is going on in the world is completely insane and inhumane, and what we're doing here is realizing that, and not being able to do anything about it not as of yet, but watching it happen. That is suffering, because that is bad. And we know that better than I think anybody else does as men, and our responsibilities in the world and the things that we've done in the world, the things that we've contributed to this world, what we've built, what we've accomplished, what we've done, all of it. That is something we can look back and be proud of. But how do you bring this whole house of cards to the ground, right? If things are so bad, if things are so horrible, how in the world do you absolutely bring the whole fucking thing to the ground if things are this bad? Is this even our territory? Is this something we should even begin to dabble in? Is this something that, are we really getting over our heads here when we do this? These are questions I ask myself all the time when I talk about things in terms of my videos and the things that I do, the places and people that I talk to, in my life and my work, whatever. I ask myself these questions in my head all the time, with anything I do. But I think that it's, where do you draw the line in the sand? Where do things get to a point where you say enough is enough? How much farther does it have to go before you end up losing it and you just say enough? At what point where do you even begin in terms of our society and our people, in terms of the way that we think as humans? What we know is right and wrong. All of these questions that we have to ask ourselves, it begins to be one hell of a fucking burden, believe me. But I think it's part of what we need to do as men to figure out these difficult situations. We've done it before. Why the hell not? Else, why not today? But the bottom line is, what I'm getting at is that basically, if we want to bring this whole house to the house of cards to the ground, then we can do it. And I'm going to tell you how we can do it. Women rely so heavily on their sexual reproductive power to be able to reproduce, to be able to have the sexual marketplace value, whatever you want to call it, that they rely so heavily on the fact that they have to be sexually appetizing, whether they think they want to believe it or not. That is the reality of the way that human species reproduce. Now, if you think for one moment that that is the case, well, then maybe you should take a look at history. Maybe you should be able to take a look a little bit further back and see what the see what's actually happened and how we actually got here in terms of the way that people reproduce. Now, that is something that we're all learning more and more about. I'm definitely not somebody to claim that I think I know everything at all. I certainly don't, and I'm learning every day. But what from I've seen is that women have to be sexually appetizing towards men, or else men don't want to fuck them. That's it, because that's how the human species carries along in a nutshell, basically. That I think something everybody can understand. So if women don't have that power, how the hell do you think they're going to be able to reproduce and carry on with their role as women? Whatever that might be. How do you think they're going to be able to carry on if they don't have that power anymore? Because let me tell you something. We look at studies, we look at the articles, we look at the statistics, we look at everything, right? And what we see is that women are very unhappy with going into STEM fields and very difficult fields such as business and being a CEO. A lot of them are very depressed from what the statistics show. At least the ones that I've read. And maybe those are inaccurate, but at least from what I'm taking on it, that women are not really supposed to be in those fields. It's not really designed in their biology to be in those fields or to accomplish the amount of stress that goes on and the things that go on in terms of the dynamics of business, being a CEO, being someone that's related to a STEM field and the responsibilities that takes place in. These are things that women are not designed biologically to really endow in. These are things for men because they are built in the brain to do these things. This is how we are to where they are. Men built everything. They built the houses. They built the world. They built the skyscrapers. They built the roads. They built the ditches. They built everything. They know all about this as men. We as men know all about building things. We know what it takes to get to certain places, believe me. It's very difficult, and majority of it is willpower and believing in the end. That something that you come up with and what you create is going to end up being something that's going to be worthwhile in the long run. And that's a risk we all take. But women don't get this. It's not in their biology to understand why. The bottom line is that if women don't have the sexual power that we give them, i.e., if we stop having sex with them, if we stop looking at them, if we stop basically interacting with them, if we stop this whole pandering to women, if we completely train ourselves to control ourselves, which believe me guys, we can do it. Look what kind of suffering we have been through. Look at what the shit that we have been through. And you're telling me that you can't keep your dick in your pants, and you're going to tell me that the whole thing that you built your whole understanding upon, the level of knowledge that you acquired, all of this, you're going to be ultimately defeated upon the thing that you studied the most about and knew the reality of, yet you decided to fall in the hands of that. You're telling me that you can't control it. Guys, let me tell you something. We have been through hell. We have been through hell, and we're going through hell every single day. We are suffering. All of us. Like I said before, we know all about suffering. We know what we go through. And you're telling me that some pussy is going to basically end your fucking... it's going to end everything that you've ever came to know about women and your understanding of the way that the world works in terms of its dynamics. That's going to bring you down in the end? Are you kidding me? We have been through some of the most horrific shit that we go through every single day. The divorce courts, the way that we get screwed. You know, some of these men have had their children taken away from them. Some of these women have accused men of crime which they've been committed and now is in their personal records, and now they have all these issues up on them. We go through this shit on a daily basis, and you're telling me that we can't simply put our dick in our pants and say no to pussy. I mean, seriously. If we do that, we will have probably the most significant say-so and impact I think anybody could ever have, ever. These women will crumble. They will not be admired. They will not be sexually desired, no matter how fucking sexy they look. And even if they pull their pants down and finger themselves in the goddamn middle of the street, you have the ability to restrain yourself as a man because you know the end result of that. You know what's going down that road. If you have the ability to contain yourself and train yourself to be able to be self-controlling. Guys, listen to me. Let me tell you something. The technology, listen, I don't really have personally a desire for sex. It's not something that I personally, is something that I absolutely desire. I used to. I'm 21 now. I should be, but believe me, porn and jacking off is something that I can personally get away with just fine, and I'm perfectly content with that. Guys, I'm telling you, if you can control yourself, Even if you're young, I understand it's in your biology. We have, if we have the ability to go off to war and be able to train ourselves to be able to be some of the best people and the most trained, skilled individuals and some of the most intelligent men that have ever come out of any situation of life and death is men, and we have the ability to be able to transcend that and learn the knowledge that it takes, we can most certainly keep our dick in our pants. Come on. Seriously. The bottom line is that if we have the ability to control our sexual reproductive desires for women, the whole empire crumbles. The feminism goes away. And listen, they will try their best to be able to keep it going. They'll try their best to be able to keep things, basically running and to be able to have their say-so. But guess what? Even, here's the other thing. Some women, let's say, for example, the worst case scenario, right? A woman tries to rape you in the instance, right? So let's just say, for example, what is that construed of? Well, let's say, for example, she basically is, grinding on you completely naked, and you want nothing to do with it because you know what the end result's going to be, and then she in the end claims that you raped him. That you basically raped her simply because she has the ability because she's a woman. That's something that we all deal with, and it's unfortunately something that's becoming more and more of a result in terms of college campuses, in terms of places that we go, and all this shit. It's unfortunate. Personally for me, I'm not one for parties. I don't really like to go out to parties. I'm not really a party person. I usually get my shit and I go home and I do my thing, and I'm perfectly content with that. But guys, I think we can control our sexual reproductive, desires. I mean, I think if we can go to war and endure the suffering that we all go through as Mgtows and as men, if we can go through that, then we are tough men, goddammit. I mean, could you imagine if Mgtow was an army? Could you imagine that? We would be some of the most tough son of a bitches I think of anybody's ever seen. But I think, we should be able to control our sexual desire. If we really want to, I think, personally for me, like I said before, this is one of the most controversial videos I think I'm going to be doing, simply because I've felt like it, and I think this is something that needs to be told. But if we can do that, then women are they're in for a whole nother side of things. And like I said before, these are questions of whether or not, is this even something that we should even consider, the end results of this. And personally for me, I don't think it's a very good thing. It's not a good thing to be able to do this, because in the end result, then, the human populace can't grow, and if men stop reproducing with women, then, there are more babies and no more people coming out of the world. And that's not, personally for me, that's not something that is productive to society as a whole. But things are out of control. Things are out of fucking control. And I think all of us as Mgtow understand that. Believe us. I mean, the content producers, the people that'll listen, that's why we're here. Because things are out of control. If they weren't out of control, we wouldn't have these issues. Which is one of the reasons why I feel obligated to make this video and to discuss these topics, because I think it's very important. Guys, I think if we really want to bring it up in Mgtow, I think if we really want to be able to push it to the next level, we control our sexual reproductive desires. We say, you know what, I'm just going to jack off to porn. Guys, the technology is going through the roof now. It's insane what you can do with porn. The virtual reality, believe me, and I think all guys realize that after you get it out, after you fucking come, it's the end, you feel tired and you're moving on. You don't want to speak to some woman. I mean, realize that. Realize that it's the buildup that you have felt that leads you to such a weird place. And then in the end, you come and you feel tired and you're like, fuck it, I don't want to speak to some woman. I want to go to sleep or eat some fucking pizza or have a beer or whatever. These things. We have to realize this. Let's start thinking with our heads here. Because if we can do that, if that means that women no longer have the sexual power that they have in government, in lobbying, in feminism, on the street, and they can fucking finger themselves probably in the middle of the street and have orgasms and all this other bullshit to, at the most desperate part of it, if things go that way, you know what? If you have the ability to restrain yourself from that, then you are the most powerful man, that you could be as an individual, I think. Because you have the ability to withhold your sexual power.